Hello, everybody. Today it's a very good cocktail for the David Lebovitz and Greenpoint. Et maintenant, David va arriver et va nous donner sa recette pour ce merveilleux cocktail. David.
Hello, everybody. I told him to speak in French, but that's good. C'est très bien en anglais.
Bah oui.
Oui.
Il
Mais
faut
tu
que
peux parler en français.
Oui.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Saturday. Aujourd'hui, c'est samedi. Lots of stuff going on. Ça va?
Je comprends. C'est un truc dans le...
So I wanted Roman to come on because I thought it'd be nice for everyone to see him. So you're welcome to say hello or bonjour in the comments. Hello, Brad. Yes, Brad. Brad a dit tu as tiré le lumière de moi, the projection. So Roman just laughed at that, Brad. So I think I wasn't sure the word for spotlight. I think it's projection, projecteur.
La
lumière.
Ouais.
Okay. So today's cocktail is going to be something. It's one of the cocktails I really like. It's called the Greenpoint, and I did the Brooklyn cocktail a few weeks ago, or maybe it was a few months ago. At this point, the Brooklyn cocktail is very popular in the Prohibition era. A lot of cocktails, for some reason, were named after New York. So it's un cocktail qui était nommé par New York. In Manhattan, the Brooklyn. Greenpoint is part of Brooklyn. And it's a little different cocktail. It uses mostly French spirits. C'est très bon. Tu aimes le Manhattan?
Oui, j'aime beaucoup.
Okay. He likes it very much. Whiskey.
C'est très fort.
Avec du whisky.
Et
It's very strong.
mais c'est pas du whisky de seigle, le Manhattan.
Si,
Les
soit de
deux
seigle,
versions.
soit de maïs. So he's asking me if it's rye whiskey, and I said usually, but like a Manhattan, you could use bourbons. It's possible. There's some very good bourbons. Bourbons aren't super popular in France. C'est pas trop connu en France, le bourbon, parce que le jambon c'est trop sucré.
Ah oui.
People say it's too sweet, and I don't find it that way, but I understand to a certain palate that's not used to it, corn is sweeter. This is a pretty good one. This is one of my favorite. I'm going off brand again like yesterday. This is it's a smoked maple bourbon that my friend Elizabeth Carmel gave me, who is a bourbon expert. And I love this, but we're not going to use this today. We're going to use rye. Whiskey, en France, il y a une vague de whisky maintenant. There's a lot of whiskey, just a whiskey wave. And I just got an email from a company that they did a whole, I think il y a presque 200 distilleurs de whisky.
Ouais. Mais quand
France.
on est allé en Écosse ensemble, on
Oui.
nous a dit
We went
qu'en
to
France,
Scotland.
on buvait plus de... C'était
Oui.
le pays européen où on buvait le plus de whisky.
He said when we went to Scotland, they said that France is the #1 country that drinks their whiskey. So whiskey is very popular here. Single malt Scotch is very popular here. But rye whiskey du seigle, c'est pas connu en France.
Si, un peu.
C'est vrai?
Le whisky de seigle...
I told him he's supposed to agree with everything I said.
Ah non, c'est le Torbay.
Oui, merci
Pardon,
beaucoup.
excuse-moi.
Oui, merci.
Oui, le whisky de seigle, je ne sais pas. Je ne peux
Okay.
pas répondre à
Wait,
cette
he
question.
doesn't
Je ne
have
connais
it.
pas assez.
But it's interesting because I've gone to stores like in my neighborhood, I've been out of rye whiskey and they don't have it. They don't even know what it is. And once a liquor store owner tried to sell me bourbon, and I said, or maybe scotch, I said, that's like somebody asking for Crémant or giving someone Crémant when they ask for champagne. It's okay, but it's different. So someone just piped in with a little Canadian flag, Send Home 2019. A lot of whiskey came into France during Prohibition from Canada. So things like Canadian Club, as people know, you can buy this here. This is a rye whiskey, but it's not labeled rye. Rye got a bad reputation for a number of years, and so they stopped putting rye in a lot of whiskey bottles. Rye whiskey has to have at least 50% rye in the mash that's distilled. So ça, c'est du whisky canadien. C'est du seigle, mais c'est pas trop...
Oui, c'est très...
Oui, This isn't bad. I mean, this is a good budget choice. It's not the end of the world. You know, everyone's like, you gotta use the best. But this is something you can buy here. It's like 18 euros or so forth. He said it's a little Madeirized. It's a little aged, like sherry is Madeirizé. So let me just see if we have any. Never mind. Okay. I just like to scroll through every once in a while and see comments and see what folks are saying. So this is a good rye whiskey. This is Rittenhouse. You can get it here in France. So I mentioned before I was interrupted. J'étais interrompu, non, ça va. Non, tu étais trop gentil. He said, did I interrupt you? I said, no, you're just being very nice. So there's almost 200 whiskeys made in France. Some of them are okay. There's a couple of whiskey-only stores. There's La Maison du Whisky, which sells a lot of liquor. And the labels are all backwards. A couple people have written to me that you can turn the camera around you can turn the camera around on Facebook Live, but you can't do that on Instagram Live, so sorry. So back to the whiskey thing. So there's almost 200 distillers of whiskey in France and in Corsica, and there's stores that have just whiskey. There is a store in the Place de la Madeleine that has only whiskey. La Maison du Whisky, they have everything. They have a whiskey-only store. They have a few other things there, but mostly whiskey near there, and they have another store in Paris. But rye whiskey, there's only one person or one company that makes rye whiskey. Une distilleur de whisky de seigle. It's called Domaine de Haute Glace.
En France?
Oui.
Ah oui?
And I looked it up today, and the bottles start at 86 euros. So I didn't go buy one, and I didn't know if I could even find one, which is okay. I was trying to keep everything local here, or at least on brand. Mais le whisky de seigle était très cher, c'est 86 euros par bouteille. Oui.
Et le seigle, c'est un champignon?
De seigle?
Le seigle.
De seigle.
No,
he's asking if rye is a mushroom. No, c'est un grain. C'est un grain.
C'est un graminé. Ouais.
Oh, c'est un grain. Right.
Comme le blé.
So rye itself must be very expensive in France. Or the place that makes it, it's actually they're owned by the parent company Rémy Cointreau. So it's this Domaine de Haute Glace. It's a small distiller, I think, that was bought by Rémy Cointreau. I don't know the history of it. Anyhow, so I haven't tried it, but it's 100% rye. So it's probably quite strong and quite spicy and quite good. This is one that's just a very good middle range, good. It's a good rye. It's bottled in bond, which means it's at least 50% alcohol, higher than the 40%. Like this is like 40%. This will taste better in a drink. The taste will come forward more because it has higher alcohol. So we're gonna use this today. And I got this at La Maison du Whisky. Ça, j'ai acheté à Apéro.
On l'ouvre?
Oui, oui. I'm just opening this now.
Ça sent super bon.
Tu veux goûter un peu?
Ah oui.
Juste nature.
Ça va me donner...
Pas trop. I said not too much. He's kind of a lightweight. He's a little person, as you can tell. Après toi. When I was little,
Il est très très bon.
He said it's very good. When I was little, my parents were having a party. Quand j'étais jeune, j'avais 8 ans, disons. I was like 8 years old or 10 years old. My parents had a party, and everyone was drinking cocktails and liquor. Mes parents ont une fête à la maison avec beaucoup de cocktails. J'étais jeune, comme ça. J'ai vu une bouteille de Jack Daniels. J'ai fait une grande gorgée. So there was a bottle of Jack Daniels, so I took a big swig of it, and I'll never forget that in my life. So.
T'étais sous?
Non, mais c'était... Delicious. I love actually, that's really good. C'est très très bon.
Il est très jeune? Non.
Non, mais il était tonneau, les vieilles en tonneau.
Mais il a un petit peu le goût de Jack Daniel sans le sucre.
He said it has a little bit of the taste of Jack Daniels. Okay, we're gonna have him taste this. This is really good. I love this. If you watched yesterday, I had a little too much gin and tonic, and we talked a lot about Charlie's Angels. And I went to try to explain it to him, and he didn't quite get it.
Et ça, c'est...
Ça, c'est du whisky. Non, ça, c'est de bourbon fumé d'érable.
On sent très très bien l'érable.
He said you really taste the
Mais
maple in this.
juste ce qu'il faut.
C'est bon.
Juste ce qu'il faut.
He said just a little.
Just a little. Très très bon, hein?
Oui. So this cocktail is a wonderful cocktail. I actually love brown cocktails, and I like cocktails up. I'm going to probably try to find some Collins glasses next week and do some icy cocktails. But we'll bring a little table over so you can see. So. All right, so I'm going to have him make the drink today, and this is not his specialty, so bear with us. But I thought it'd be fun to let him do it. Anybody can make. It's funny because somebody left a comment on my Facebook page. There was an article I think Michael Luhman wrote in the Washington Post about when recipe writers use the word optional. He's like, well, you shouldn't put it in the recipe. You know, one of his sort of arguments was that why is it in the recipe if it's not obligatory? And he asked a couple of people who write recipes, including myself, about that. And so some people chimed in and said, well, they just couldn't bake because it was they had to follow the recipe too much. I'm like, well, it's really easy. It's like making a cocktail. There's not a lot of variation. 2 ounces is 2 ounces. So, tu vas faire 2 fois ça.
Le premier.
C'est ça?
Ah oui. 2 fois 2.
Right. So each one is gonna have 2 ounces of rye whiskey in it. And you could use bourbon. I don't really prefer it in this cocktail, but if that's all you have, you could use it. And you could probably even use cognac. You might have to call it something else, but as I mentioned yesterday, the cocktail police aren't that picky about all that stuff, and a lot of bartenders take a lot of liberties and they have fun with drinks rather than stressing out about the name. So the next thing it's going to have is yellow chartreuse in it. And this is one of the only in France liqueurs. So just it's going to have, we're making 2 cocktails. So for each one, it's going to have a half an ounce. So jusqu'à ici. Right. C'est très cher. I said it's very expensive. Now he's nervous. Oui, ça c'est très bon.
Maintenant, tu aimes la jaune alors qu'avant, tu préférais la verte.
C'est dans ce cocktail. Oui. So I tried this with green chartreuse and it doesn't quite work, unfortunately, but I did also try it with Genepi and it was great. So if you have a bottle of Genepi, it's fine, but green chartreuse, save that for a different cocktail.
The color is fabulous.
Yes, and it gets this color du saffron et de miel.
Ah oui?
Oui, it's saffron and honey, maybe. So lastly, it's going to be some
the sweet and the
sweet... Sweet vermouth, so le même jusqu'à ici.
Et pourquoi il faut le mettre au frais, le vermouth?
He's asking why you put vermouth in the refrigerator. Parce que c'est un vin, because it's a wine. C'est un vin aromatisé avec aux herbes. Exactement. So it's actually a wine with a little bit of alcohol in it to fortify it, but not enough to really keep it. Something like this, c'est 50% d'alcool, mais ça c'est comme du vin un peu.
D'accord.
I said this is more like wine.
Tu veux chercher des glaçons?
No, je vais chercher pour toi. But when I had Pierre-Olivier de Dolin, from Dolin, this week he said 2 to 3 weeks in the refrigerator, and he explained it. So Pierre-Olivier de Dolin a expliqué, tu te souviens, nous sommes allés chez Dolin?
Je me souviens très bien.
Oui, he had a good time when we went to Dolin. Very nice. Il était très gentil.
Oui, super gentil.
Il said super gentil. Mais c'est un vrai mot en français, super. I'm asking if super is a real word in French.
Ah oui.
Okay. Up.
Ça veut dire que c'est vraiment gentil.
Okay, so I've been getting asked a lot of questions about bitters. And Brad Parsons is here. He wrote a wonderful book on bitters. If you want to know a lot about it, well, even if you don't want to know a lot about bitters, if you want to know just a small amount, it's a great book. I learned a lot from it. But I'm going to show you, somebody asked me,
C'est joli, je la surveille.
He said it's beautiful like that. Oui, but it's an accident. How do you say accident waiting to happen in French? C'est un accident, on attend un accident.
Ça fait une belle image.
He said it makes a beautiful image. So, je te laisse avec Romain. I'm going to leave you with Romain. Okay, so somebody asked me what aromatic bitters means. And as far as I can tell, and Brad, you're welcome to chime in the comments, it doesn't really have a specific meaning. It just means usually a group of spices that tend to be heavy on things like clove or cardamom, sort of musky spices. C'est comme les pains d'épices, les arômes, comme gingerbread. They often say cloves gets mentioned a lot. You only use a dash in a cocktail. But it's very interesting because these are three different, ça c'est, on dit bitters aromatiques. Ça c'est un type de bitters. So they're just called aromatic bitters. There's no, but they're very easy to get. That's why a lot of cocktail recipes call them. This one's not easy to get. But I was going to show you, Angostura is very easy to get, and they look different. And I'm just going to put a drop on the plate so you can see. This is whoops.
Saffron.
Wait, he said it's like saffron, but you can see it's quite, whoops. I probably should just move the camera. Up.
Voilà.
There. Okay. And then, oh, ça va
nice.
bouger. Mais j'utilise l'assiette pour les deux autres.
Oui, j'ai
I said I want to use the plate for two others. Okay. So this is the St. James. This I got at a cocktail festival. You can see it's a very bright red.
J'aime beaucoup la bouteille. Tu es artiste?
No, he said I'm an artist. We call it the money shot bottle. And that's hard to explain in French. So that's also an aromatic bitters. So any recipe that calls for aromatic bitters, you can use any of these. This is from Bitter Truth. Wow, so you can see the difference in color. And tu sens, c'est comme les clous de girofle. Right.
Mais c'est pas du clou de girofle.
Si, peut-être.
Il y a plein de choses dedans.
Right.
C'est bien la caméra penchée.
Yeah, he said the camera is good there. So when a recipe has aromatic bitters, and in my book, in Drinking French, I didn't call for a lot of elusive bitters because most bitters are, $20 and they last forever. You don't have to ever replace your bitters, but it's a spend. So I usually tend to prefer to just tell people to use orange or aromatic bitters. And this recipe uses both.
J'aime beaucoup cette odeur.
He likes the odor, the smell of the orange bitters. C'est bon. Okay, so deux traits de. So each cocktail gets one dash. Now I can't speak English. Un trait de bitters.
L'image est très belle de l'étiquette.
He said it's very beautiful, the image on the.
Et on met un trait de ça là-dedans.
Oui, chacun.
Ah, de ces trois-là.
Non,
Comme ça. Hop.
What? Et deux?
Ah, deux traits.
Okay. And you'll often see bartenders do it really fast because you can see it shoots all over the place.
Comme le chat.
He said like the cat. Whoa, okay. There's a neighborhood cat that comes into our apartment. And it's usually pretty cool. But just calme, 2 minutes. But the other day it came into the apartment. He's trying to make the cocktail. And the first thing it did was spray Romain's backpack. So, okay. So c'est tout. Je cherche les glaçons et tu restes ici.
Je suis prêt.
Okay.
The ice cream.
So we've got some ice here, which Romain loves ice. He likes Mexican food too, la cuisine mexicaine, les glaçons, la cuisine asiatique, la cuisine pimentée. Indian, he likes them all. He's perfect. C'est parfait. So, rempli avec les glaçons.
D'accord.
Ou pas tout juste.
Un peu.
Ouais.
Ça suffit?
Oui.
Et là, je remue.
Oui, so mix until very close. C'est jusqu'à très...
Je pense à ton ami du bar où on mange des hamburgers qui a écrit un article dans le New York Times. Quand je fais ça.
He said when he's doing this cocktail, he's thinking of Toby Cecchini. I'm hoping we're pronouncing his name right. Who has
Toby.
If Toby's watching, he might not be, but Toby just wrote an excellent article in the New York Times what it's like to be a bartender right now. Ça, c'est tout. And also, he had COVID very badly, and his wife wrote a very touching article about what it was like for them to live with COVID. But he's a great bartender, Long Island Bar in New York, and Romain loves him because he speaks French. He used to live in France. Tu aimes Toby?
Oui,
okay.
Mais parce que c'est intéressant pour moi. De la culture française qui connaît bien les États-Unis. J'adore. C'est plus par rapport à ça.
So I've got 2 chilled glasses here, and mais tu fais ça, tu bloques la caméra. Merci.
Heureusement que tu es là, David.
He said, happily I'm here. Non, tu fais comme tu veux.
Parce que sinon, ça
I'm going to have him take over for me. Whoa.
C'est joli.
I have an interview.
Ça, c'est vraiment la récompense de la fin de la journée, quoi.
He said, yes. He said that's the compensation at the end of the day. Mais juste un peu de... Oups. Tu peux faire comme ça.
Okay.
And you can spray a little bit of the orange oil on top and then twist it and drop it in. And these are called Greenpoints. So each one has 2 ounces of rye whiskey, ½ ounce of yellow chartreuse, and ½ ounce of red sweet vermouth. And then a dash of orange bitters and a dash of aromatic bitters. Voilà, à santé.
Alors, à ton livre,
Oh, he said to my book. Ah, merci.
Your book, fabulous.
Ah, merci.
J'ai regardé cet après-midi.
He said he looked at my... c'est bon.
C'est marrant parce que les cocktails, il y a toujours une espèce de difficulté pour le cerveau parce qu'il y a beaucoup de goûts différents de
He
trucs
said sometimes it's hard
caractéristiques.
for your brain because there's so many different specific flavors, characteristics or flavors going on at once.
Et donc, entre la sensation de ressentir le goût et de l'analyser, c'est toujours étonnant.
Oui, sometimes de temps en temps, c'est un challenge.
Oui.
Mais ça, c'est intéressant.
Mais il est bon. Il est très sucré
Oui.
à cause de la chartreuse.
He said it's on the sweet side because of the chartreuse.
Mais en même temps, il est comme un cheval
It's like a horse.
qui est nerveux.
It's like a nervous horse. Now, something interesting, I've heard this over and over, and it's weird. They say some men won't drink cocktails out of stemmed glasses because they think it's not masculine. And I always think of like Roger on Mad Men. Il y a des gens qui pensent les verres de cocktail avec les tiges. On dit tiges pour ça?
Non, le pied.
C'est ça, non? Ça, c'est le pied. C'est ça.
Le pied, c'est tout ça.
Ah oui, that's the foot. He said this is the foot of the glass. I'm not sure.
On dit pas la tige.
Okay, you don't
Pour
say...
les plantes, oui.
Okay, for a plant, you say the branch or the stem, I was trying to say. But there was I don't think it's anyway, I always thought that's kind of funny because I always thought like men drank martinis and so forth. So c'est masculin le verre ou féminin?
Un verre.
Well, en verre. In French, it's masculine. The word glass is en verre, so it's a mask.
Mais c'est très féminin de le porter comme ça.
So, it's always...
C'est vrai, c'est très élégant.
Okay.
Bah, c'est vrai.
Oui, it's very elegant. Mais ça, c'est pas forcément féminin, l'élégance.
Mais le féminin existe chez le masculin.
Okay, so, merci beaucoup, c'est gentil. So, it's always nice to have something to eat when you have something to drink, of course. Yesterday, I had a little treat, but today I've got something else for Romain. I've got tapenade that I made.
J'ai goûté hier.
He said he tasted this yesterday. As you all know, I'm trying to use up stuff in my kitchen.
Elle est particulièrement réussie.
He said it's particularly good, so that's pretty good. So there's a recipe on my blog for tapenade, and there's one in my book, My Paris Kitchen. Actually, there's a few in My Paris Kitchen. But I take day-old baguette and I slice it thin and put them in the toaster, and they're really good for toasts. They work perfectly because they're not super huge.
C'est complètement souple.
Tu es sous? He said he's very happy. J'ai dit tu es très content. Actually, sous means drunk or beurré. Mais j'ai un meilleur cadeau pour toi.
Mais tu as mis de l'ail dedans.
Un peu, oui. There's a little garlic. So,
Olive.
if you want to make a Frenchman happy, the chips. Tu aimes?
Ah.
I didn't eat them all yesterday. So these are the chips that I got yesterday, and I opened them, and they were so good. Ça, c'est les chips de Fédération Française de l'Apéritif.
C'est fait maison?
He said, are they homemade? Oui, mais ça va, laisse
C'est pas
avoir tous.
C'est pas fait maison.
Non. Non, mais c'est bon.
Ça, c'est très bon, hein?
Oui.
Ça fait longtemps que j'ai pas mangé de chips.
So yeah, it's been a long time since he's had chips.
David adore grignoter.
He said, I like to snack. Hello in Chicago. The word whiskey in France is used for scotch, rye, and bourbon, it seems. Someone's saying. Perhaps, I don't know. Oh. I see Monterey Fish Market is tuning in. Hello, Monterey Fish Market. I miss you guys very much. They supplied us with fish at Chez Panisse. And if you live in the Bay Area, I've talked about the really good anchovies that I got when I was in Spain last summer. They're amazing. They serve them at Chez Panisse, and my friends Michael and Sylvie Sullivan sell them. They import them through Bone Imports, which you can go to online. They're doing really great shelter and wine specials. But they also sell these great anchovies, and I just saw that they're selling them at Monterey Market in Berkeley, and I think at Monterey Seafood. So they're really good anchovies. They're insane, I should say. There's that. He's like, so if Monterey Market is still watching, I don't know if you're carrying these, but these are great anchovies.
Très très bon. J'aime beaucoup. Ça, c'est exceptionnel.
Ouais.
Ça se vend au verre volet à Paris.
Well, you can get them at Vervolet in Paris. Rye whiskey makes great cookies. Joan Cynthia says, High West whiskey is good. Yes, it is very good. I think their rye whiskey is excellent. The double rye is terrific. Rittenhouse is very good. If you're on a budget, Old Overholt isn't bad. It's like $18 a bottle. Yeah. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Très très bon.
Et les chips? Oui. C'est bon?
Oui,
Tu aimes ça?
elles sont super bonnes. Oui.
Ouais. C'est pas possible. Non, c'est fabriqué en France. I'm not making potato chips.
Et toi, tu es fait maison?
Yes, I am.
Quoi? Je rigole.
Look who's...
Non, j'avais pris le petit exprès.
You said he put more in at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyway, so tomorrow is usually the day that I'm not doing this. So I'm going to be with my friend Leslie Chesterman on Instagram Live at the same time. And she's at Leslie Chesterman, Leslie with a Y. And I'm going to be her guest tomorrow on her Instagram Live. So feel free to tune in if you want to see us there.
Sunday.
Oui.
Oui.
Tu aimes dimanche?
Oui, mais tu n'as pas d'Instagram, non?
Oui, je vais faire quelque chose avec un ami de moi.
Ah.
Yeah, he said, but tomorrow you don't do this. And that's that. So I'll see you there if you want to join us tomorrow. I shouldn't talk with my mouth full. I'm going to have one more sip of my drink because it's really good. Oh, hello in Peru. Il y a quelqu'un du Pérou.
Ah.
Hi West, yes, it's in Utah. Let's see. I like all these buttons. No, bitters never expire because there's so much alcohol in them. And also, you can buy bitters in supermarkets because they have, I think whoever the FDA or whoever judges all that stuff, they say like, no one's gonna get drunk on bitters. No one's gonna buy a bottle of bitters and drink it. You can't drink bitters. So they will keep forever. What is the brand of chips? These are from the French Federation of the Apéritifs, la Fédération Française de l'Apéritif. And of course, because it's France, they tell you where the salt is from. The salt is from the Camargue.
Ce qui est drôle, c'est la référence à l'institution, l'intitulé de l'institution.
Wait, you think
Fédération.
It's funny because it's named after like an institution, and that's a funny.
It's a very good allusion.
How did the biscotti turn? I made biscotti today on Instagram stories. They came out okay. I think I added too much stuff to them, and they were a little hard to slice, but they came out okay. I made cornmeal biscotti, and cornmeal doesn't have. He saw them. Tu aimais le biscotti, les gâteaux que j'ai fait?
J'adore ça.
Ah oui, il adore ça.
Ça me rappelle mon papa.
It reminds me of his father for some reason. C'est comme ça, comme le planche qu'il a coupé.
Il adore ça.
Right. They came out good, but they'll be a little harder to slice because they have cornmeal in them. Cornmeal doesn't have gluten, so So he's going to get the cookies.
It's fabulous. J'ai beaucoup de chance.
Oui. Somebody's asking, Kathy, where you can get these tongs? You can actually get these at any bar supply stores. You can buy them online. You can even get them in pet stores because they use them to feed snakes. And when I was looking to buy some online because everything was closed in Paris, mais
Tu as acheté ça nouveau?
Oui, mais c'est aussi les gens utilisent ça pour
Mettre les olives?
Non, oui, dans la bouche des serpents. Si tu as un serpent, tu mets comme ça. So he's
Mais ça s'achète où? C'est pour la cuisine?
Oui, pour la cuisine, pour les bars. But you can buy them at any bar supply stores. I recently did a post on my blog, like what cocktail shaker to buy, what different cocktail, and I listed a bunch of different places that sell cocktail stuff, high quality stuff or moderate quality stuff. He said very pretty. These here cost like 11 euros. I think in America they're like 6 euros. JB Prince in New York has them.
J'ai une épine de bois.
Oui.
C'est la pince.
He wants me to.
C'est parfait.
Tu es comme un serpent. I said he's like a serpent, but in French because it's France, it's got to be a different word for everything. So a poisonous snake is a viper, a vipe. Il y a une différence avec les serpents et les vipres.
Les vipres. Les vipères.
Vipères. Oh, des vipères.
Oui.
Okay. Ah oui, okay. So.
Pourquoi? C'est quoi la différence? C'est un serpent, la vipère.
Tu es français, explique-moi. He's like, why is there a difference? I said, you're French. Explain to me.
Je t'explique.
But les différences.
Entre une vipère et un serpent.
Le vipère, c'est toxique.
Ah oui.
Je crois.
Ah oui.
I said because the viper is toxic.
Il y a d'autres serpents qui le sont.
Oui. Mais on va téléphoner l'académie de
Mais c'est de la famille des serpents. C'est ça que je veux dire.
Yes, all vermouth should be refrigerated because treat it like wine once you open it. It will keep longer because it's got alcohol in it. This is maybe 16%. This is 16% alcohol. Some wines are up to 15% alcoholic, especially some Italian wines or Spanish wines and California wines. Tu manges beaucoup. I said he eats a lot. He likes to eat. So treat it sort of like wine and keep it in the fridge. It will last 2 to 3 weeks. When it's over, don't throw it away. You can use it for cooking, for deglazing. When you make stew, you can add or I guess you can't use the word stew anymore. When you make something like an oven braise, you can use the vermouth in it as well. C'est très bon, les chips.
Tu manges beaucoup.
You said I eat too much. Oui, ça c'est mon problème.
Wow.
Mais je suis stressé.
Mais non, mais faut pas stresser, on peut blaguer.
Someone asked if you cook. Tu fais la cuisine?
I like the
He
kitchen.
likes.
Mais c'est difficile de faire la cuisine avec David parce que il est.
It's hard to make food with me.
Mais
I don't know why.
je pose pas de questions parce qu'il déteste les questions.
He doesn't ask me any questions. I'm just translating. I'm not.
Mais ce que j'aime beaucoup, c'est que je regarde. Et depuis 18 ans que je suis en stage avec David Lebovitz.
He said he's had an 18-year internship with me. Et on va faire ça aussi.
Dans mon quotidien, j'apprends des choses, des petits secrets.
Daily, he learns like little secrets of cooking.
Qui sont faciles à retenir pour moi.
They're easy for him to remember.
Parce que c'est des secrets magiques.
Oui.
Pour réussir à faire des plats qui sont bons.
Et il a dit, je suis un magnifique, super bon, très gentil. No. I just said, because I'm so nice and friendly and
wonderful. Ce que je dis, c'est vachement bien,
Ouais.
ce que je viens de dire.
Qu'est-ce que tu as dit?
J'ai dit que j'ai pas appris à faire la cuisine, mais je me suis amélioré avec toi, parce que j'ai écouté.
He didn't learn it. He doesn't learn from me, but he makes his food better. It's interesting because we go to the market together, and he's like, "How come you come home au marché?" Tu m'as dit, comment tu as trouvé les belles pêches, par exemple?
Oui.
He's like, how do you find the good peaches? You always find the good stuff.
Regarder, sentir et goûter.
Ouais.
Ça, c'est les trois. Et la cuisine, il faut surveiller.
He said to do good food, you have to survey everything. And so I'm trying to teach him, in France, they always cooked, they always had great products. And that's changed over the years because of industrialization, globalization, and you can buy bad strawberries, you can buy good strawberries. And if you go to the countryside, there's often like these amazing strawberries. Mais j'ai dit, en France, ça a changé, la globalisation, la mondialisation. Dans une époque, tout était bien. Tout était bon.
À l'époque de ma mère.
Oui, he said in the era of his mother. And one thing he told me, for those of you that know Paris, do I add olives to my vermouth? I don't. I guess you could. Oh, do I add olives to my? No, I don't. But you could, I guess. He grew up in the Marais. His telephone went off. It was very interesting because he told me when he was young, his mother used to take him to the Place des Vosges, and they would go shopping for food. And the whole Place des Vosges was surrounded. Now it's all these sort of cheesy art galleries. But it's beautiful, the most beautiful place in the world with bad art. J'ai dit le Place des Vosges, maintenant c'est les galeries de l'art.
Mais la galerie d'art pour le commerce des gens.
He said, so the art is very commercial there now, but in the old days, tu m'as dit dans l'époque c'était un marché, des marchands, les boucheries.
Non, il y avait. Il y avait des boucheries, mais il y avait aussi c'était des artisans.
There was artisans there.
Et il y avait une librairie de livres anciens. C'était très éclectique.
Ah oui. Oui, it was very eclectic.
Mais beaucoup d'artisans.
Right.
Artisanal. C'était mal famé, la Place des Vosges.
Oui.
C'était mal famé.
One thing that's interesting about one of my best friends used to live in the Place des Vosges, and she was sort of a well-to-do socialite, very nice, but lovely woman, great friend. And she said when she moved there from the 7th arrondissement, j'ai dit, je parle sur Louis, les amis d'elle ont dit non, habite pas dans le Marais, dans la Place des Vosges, les gens sont sauvages.
Ah bon?
So her friend said you cannot live in the Place des Vosges.
À l'époque
in the Marais, those people are savages. So, and she bought an apartment there, and I used to get to go there and have fun and hang out in her swanky place. And c'était bien l'époque de Louis. C'est une vraie époque.
Ah oui, à l'époque de Louis.
Ouais.
Et à l'époque de mes parents, c'était.
Oui.
Et de ton appartement dans le monde.
That was where when I moved to Paris, I lived in the right next to the Marais, on the top floor.
Limitrophe. Ouais.
Oui. Au début, j'ai détesté cet appart quand je suis arrivé.
Pourquoi?
Parce que je suis américain. J'ai dit, oh, les fenêtres sont trop belles.
Ah oui, c'était pas du tout le bon feeling.
So when I moved into my first apartment in Paris, I was on the rooftop. And it was tiny, and I walked in, and the place. If you read my book, The Sweet Life in Paris, you know what it was like. But I was like, oh, the windows are too small. I can't really see out some of them so well, and I'm gonna have to start looking for a new apartment next week. And of course, he came over, and then his father came over. Tu es venu, et tu dis, David, c'est magnifique, c'est magnifique.
Et tu étais choqué.
Regarde le genre.
T'étais choqué.
Wait, they were like the light, the view, because they had a view of the Eiffel Tower, the Marais, and so forth. And I was like so American. I was like, oh, I want like bigger windows. So I lived in this little tiny apartment for 10 years.
Mais t'avais une grande fenêtre dans la chambre.
Oui, I had a big window in my apartment. All right, well, now we're just talking. So I will see you tomorrow if you want to come and see me and Leslie Chesterman. Leslie and I just had a really great, she was in Paris right before the confinement. I have no idea why I just put potato chips in my mouth while I'm talking, but I can't resist. So we went to the Ritz we had tea and pastries, and we spent 3 hours there. So j'ai passé 3 heures au salon du thé dans le Ritz avec Leslie. C'est super. So Leslie's great. We're going to have a really good time. We'll talk tomorrow. Yes, and I do need Gina, thank you so much. Oh, Gina reads Sleep Repeat. I thought you were saying to sleep because last night there was a giant party on my street that went on until 4 a.m. And today all the neighbors, everybody was very upset about it. Well, some people were thrilled. I'm gonna stop eating them. But anyway, I didn't get any sleep, so I'm good. I'm still standing. So I will see you tomorrow with Leslie, and she'll be taking over the reins, interviewing me and talking to me about my book, Drinking French. His favorite book, ton livre préféré?
Non.
I said, your favorite book? He goes, no.
Si, mais ils sont tous... J'aime beaucoup ce livre parce qu'il est très personnel. Oui. Et j'aime beaucoup parce que tu as fait une vraie tentative pour quelque chose de nouveau que tu connaissais pas, que maintenant tu connais beaucoup. Et
he got a whole page in it.
Bientôt je change de lunettes.
He's gonna change his glasses. All right. So I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in. It was great to see you. Yesterday when I showed up, I was kind of not feeling so great because I'd had a pretty intense 24 hours. As many of you know who are in confinement, every day is different, and there's all this stuff going on right now, which is a broader subject that I'm sort of equipped to handle. And I think right now also there's a lot of voices out there that should be heard. And
non, ton livre, tu l'as fait avec beaucoup de plaisir.
Okay.
Et ça se ressent.
Oh, merci.
Traduit.
Ça va parce que j'ai dit quelque chose dans un autre sujet. So he just changed the subject. Anyhow, I will see you tomorrow if you want to join me and Leslie. Take care of yourselves, take care of your neighbors. If your music, you think it's too loud, turn it a little down. Be nice to everybody. Anytime you want to leave a nasty comment, think about it and then change it, make it super nice. But cheers to all of you, and thank you again for tuning in. As I mentioned yesterday, this is almost the third month I've been doing these, and each one is different. Sometimes they're interesting, and sometimes it's chaotic and so forth, but I'm glad you're tuning in every day and seeing whatever happens. And Roman's going to stand here and eat now, and I'm going to join him. So just more potato chips.
Wow.
So this is the weekend to eat potato chips. If ever was a time to eat potato chips, right now is the time. Okay, stay safe, stay well. Thank you, STR5.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and the cocktail, once again, is called the Greenpoint. 2 ounces rye whiskey, 1/2 ounce yellow chartreuse, 1/2 ounce sweet red vermouth, and a dash of orange, a dash of aromatic bitters. Okay, à santé.
Cheers.
Mm.